probably, we are live.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, you probably want to go through Sherra Grasser Youth Empowerment page, that versus my page.
Yep, that's what I'm doing. But it'll
All
take a
right.
minute. We'll just give
Yeah,
them a second to get on. If anybody comes, my dogs will
I
put
hear
their two
them.
cents in. Isn't it nice? When you hear them, is it really loud, like distracting bad? Because I can go try to put them outside.
It sounds like Mr. Little.
Well, no, it's Daisy. Isn't it nice?
Oh,
Yeah. Boy, we could have a
hello.
whole live on Little Mister.
Oh, yes. Oh. Hello, friends. I see that you are popping on. Let us know in the chat box if you're here. We're excited to be back and spending some time with all of you. We're going to just kind of play tonight by ear and see where we go with this. It may be just a brief, I say brief 30 minutes. Like for some of you, that might feel like forever. No, just kidding.
Yep. All right.
But yes. Yay! Hi, Sally.
Oh,
Can you see it, Krista?
No.
Sally's with us.
Now I can. Hi, Sally.
Yay!
Sally. So you know Sally from school.
I do. Yeah.
Sally is my crying buddy. We cry together. Yeah. We just look at each other. If we go into meetings together at school and if there's some like sweet, soft music, something, we're both like, just don't look at me. Just don't look at me.
That's because this is what I could totally see that because I have not had an opportunity to work like side by side with Sally at the school, but I meet her in the hall when I've been there often, and like she just like you guys share the same heart. Like
we do.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah. You just want to hug her.
Yes.
That's for you, my friend.
Yeah. So as you're coming in, friends, please let us know you're here. We'd love to acknowledge you and have you welcome you. Debbie's here. Oh, Debbie, we're going to share about you. Yay.
Oh,
Thank
so much
Here.
fun. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, Sally, it's nuts. What, the whole back to school, the whole being in the school? What's nuts?
The connection that she and I have, how we just look at each other and just cry. I'm sure that's what she's talking about. But all of it, right, Sally? Like the getting back to school. Sally is third grade. So she wasn't part of the first phase. She will be a part of the second phase, whether it be back to school or what do they call it? Remote.
Yeah.
So
so I just want to share something. Being that Sally's third grade teacher, my third grade teacher is one of the most influential teachers that I've had in my K through 12 experience. And we are friends on Facebook. And I actually just sent her a card because it's National Women's Month and shared with her how influential she was and still is to me in the work that I do. And it was really, it was a moment. I had a moment. Just to be in that memory of being in her classroom, this little brown-eyed, brown-haired girl who entered a class with a teacher that was so pivotal in my school experience and the ripple effect that I really see that having now. And not just for me, because I see what people that had her as a teacher are commenting, on her Facebook. And I'm like, oh, I love that. Sally, see, it's something about third grade teachers. Yeah.
It is. I have my third grade. I was a naughty third grade student, so we just won't go there. But Sally is very pivotal for many kids. She shares with them or has this way. Now, I've never been in there for the actual lesson, which is something I'm missing out on. But Sally has a way, and she'll have to put it in here because I'm sure I'll get it wrong, that she gets her students to realize, acknowledge, notice, and share their gifts with others. And
Mm,
it's like part of her Sally curriculum, because I don't think it's third grade
yeah,
curriculum. I really believe that it's um, something that Sally brings to the table just because it's part of her heart.
yeah.
What is it called, Sally?
Hi,
She'll put it,
Craig.
unless she left us to go look at her beautiful flowers. The 12 Gifts of Birth. Have you ever heard of
Oh,
that, Sherra?
no.
Oh, you have to look it up. I cannot even believe you haven't
Oh,
heard of it.
I'm writing it down though.
Yeah,
I love
it's
it.
it's pretty magical. Like when things come up and things happen, and all of a sudden Sally interrupts them in like a sweet way and will be like, well, what gift is that you notice? Whether it be the person they're talking to or what they've done to the person, and they can name it, or
Yeah.
she'll tell that, she's had a student or two tell me what gifts that they think I have. I mean, of course it could make you cry, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Well, and that is a really impressionable time, and the age is a really great age to start implementing
Yeah.
that. Yeah, and those conversations and those awarenesses, and I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. So
Yep.
how was your week, Crystal? You
Oh,
have a lot going
my week.
on.
Yeah, well, how was my week? It's been busy. It's been crazy, as you know, and as I think people will be coming on, if they come on now or watch later. We have second graders coming back next Monday. And you like smacked me in the face, Shara, when we started talking about this, like that it feels weird because it's been a year
Yeah.
since we've had kids in our building. And for me, that's the whole reason I'm there. I'm there for the kids. And it's been 365 days since they've actually been in our building. So come Monday, we're going to welcome them with open arms, as well as, take care of our littles that are going to stay hybrid. Am I saying that correctly? No.
Line.
The ones
Stay
they're
online.
staying, yeah, they're staying I have no words today, but remote. And
Remote.
we will it's going to be a very interesting rest of the school year in a really good positive way. We are going to meet the kids where their needs are, and the expectation is such. And I believe we're going to do it. We have stellar teachers staying remote, and we have stellar teachers coming in hybrid, and the parents made the decision. So this isn't like nobody's being forced to do one or the other. And we are going to meet these families right where they are and take care of these little babies. And I know all of our schools are trying to do that, but that is my own personal feeling. And then very quickly after that, in the next week, then we have our first graders joining them. And then we
Okay.
get spring break. Whew, why do we have spring break in the middle of this? I feel like we've had
Oh.
it, I wish it could play out a little bit different, but this is the way it plays out. And so then we have spring break, and
Mhm.
then we come back with the kindergartners. And then there's the unknown. As you heard on Friday, as I think everybody heard on Friday, some announcement was made that starting, I think, April 12th, are the Washington schools, not Edmond School District, Washington schools do have to make it available for K through 12 students to make the decision to come back or not. And you know what? We're going to do it. We're going to do
Yeah.
it. I don't know what it's going to look like, but we're going to do it.
So, okay, so I love this, and I love that Sally's on with us, because I think Sally could be a great contributor to this conversation as well. So I love, so the kids are coming back, and you're right. Families have choices, right? Like
Yeah.
whether they want
Yeah.
to keep their kids at home, or they want to have them returning to school, and bless them for those hard decisions that they're
Yeah.
they're making. I so funny. This will squirrel, so I'll come back to it if it's important. But you know what, Crystal and maybe Sally can contribute in the chat as well. What can we do for our teachers? Like, how can we best support our teachers during this time, this transition? I mean, they're transitioning in a lot of manner as well. There's got to be a lot of thoughts and feelings and things that are coming up for our teachers. How can somebody from the outside or even families best support their teachers during
Such a
this?
such a great question, Shara, and very much appreciated. And I know that this isn't just coming from you. I've heard lots of families ask
Mm-hmm.
this question, and our parents are wonderful parents, and they really do care.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best advice I would have, and we'll see what Sally says, is to really be open and patient as you can be. With but with saying that, these are your babies, and I would want 100% that you are advocating for them, and whenever you felt like you needed to do so. But
Mm-hmm.
be open, be communicative, like definitely call and email. Um, ask for a time to talk if you have a problem. It's always best to do it verbally as opposed to not. And we have this new platform. We have Zoom. We can meet, pretty
Right.
easily. Um, but really just open and communicating is the best gift that you could give right now. Obviously, just natural kindness.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't mean gifts, but people like to give gifts that makes them feel good. But I don't mean that at all. I just
Yeah.
mean um open to being patient, open to be understanding, open to being your student's number one advocate, because it's your student is the only student really that you should worry about at that time, right? Like, and we understand that and we want that. We
Yeah.
don't want anyone to slip through the cracks or feel missed or set aside. And if
Yeah.
there's any feelings like that, we want to know immediately. Because we're this is just as I wouldn't say it's just as hard. I would say that this is just hard. And to make sure that every every need is met, and that is
Yeah.
our 100% goal, right? We're not settling for less. But
You,
without, what do you call that? The relationship, without, we need the family to be on our team
yeah.
because we do not want to miss. But we're human.
Right. Right. I think what I heard probably the biggest in it, and it's no secret. I mean, the communication is going to be the biggest gifts that we can offer
Yeah.
our teachers and our staff as they're going back in the classrooms with the students, because when we're not communicating, we start to make up a story when we don't know, which turns into a big huge assumption, and then we have a
Yeah.
belief, and then that's where there's that breakdown and we lose patience, and it can turn to not be
Yeah.
the best possible solution. So what I love though that you said is that we have to look at this and if we could do this as families and teachers as more of a team, from a
Yeah.
team aspect. I mean, like,
Mhm.
we're all going to do this together. We're going to
Yeah.
meet your kids where they are in the classroom, or via the online platform, whatever that looks like, but we're going to meet them where they are.
Yeah.
We'll do it together. I love that.
Yeah. And just know that feelings are high all over the place. Things
Hmm.
might be um, said or taken totally out of context, or, you know, um, and it's okay to say, what did you mean by that?
Oh yeah.
It's okay to say, I don't understand what you're saying. It's okay to say, this doesn't feel right, like all of it, right? And I think the more we hold those things in, especially when we're all doing this together, we're
Yeah.
all doing this unknown together, right? This is not, none of us know what to expect.
I know.
So
Well,
we're
and
a team.
yeah, we have to go team. We have to do go team for sure. And it will be really interesting. And I guess this might be will be our brief introduction, but like next week, Monday, we have a guest.
Oh my gosh, I can't
And
wait.
we have Avery, and I'll let you share a little bit about her. But she's going to come interview us. but we also are going to have the opportunity to interview her. And it'll be
Mm-hmm.
really interesting to hear her perspective on the
Right.
returning to school, whether she's returning when her age level goes back or not, but just to
Yeah.
hear from a student, their perspective and what do they need.
Gosh, you just really hit a light bulb, turned a light bulb on for me, because Sally has a big comment there that we want to check.
Oh,
But
yeah.
and sorry about the dog, cat Shayna's dog's coming out, so it's going to be loud for a minute. But um I want to be very careful and very intentional with the conversation that we're talking about right now.
Mhm.
That when we, like, what you just said was hit something so big about, we're going to be interviewing with Avery, which is going to be amazing. Like, she's
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. I cannot wait. But when you said, I heard it in a way that could be taken differently, right? Not wrong, but different.
Right.
You said how, you know, she, may or may not be coming back or choose to come back or whatever. And I thought, gosh, I just put all this energy in the beginning of this conversation about coming back to school. Now, I don't want any single parent to think that their decision is right or wrong, right? So
Right.
I I don't think Avery is, I believe Avery will be staying remote.
Yeah.
And that is like 100% okay. Like what you said was perfect. Like, whether she does or not. But it just made me think, all of a sudden, we're all very excited, and all of this energy is going to be around bringing our kids back to school. And so I want families to know that we are truly not forgetting those that are not coming back. Right?
And
I guess that's what I'm saying.
yeah, and those of us that know you, Crystal, I mean, honest to goodness, right? Like we know your
Yeah.
intentions are solid, pure, all of that when it comes to the kids. I think right now the attention is on coming
Yeah.
back to school. So that's why
Mm-hmm.
the conversation is there right now. And honestly, even the parents that are I now this is a complete talk about an assumption. I, I am making an assumption because I don't have kids in this, they're older,
Yeah.
but I can only assume that these are conversations parents are having with their kids about that there are some kids returning to school and
Yeah.
we're choosing not to at this time or for the remainder of the school year.
Mm-hmm.
And so yes, the attention is on coming back to school, but I do think that it's a beautiful conversation and honoring those that are choosing at home and why they're
Yeah.
choosing to stay home. And I think it's beautiful. I just your
Yeah.
acknowledgement, like, and the fact that we can hold that space for all to
Yeah.
succeed
Right.
based on what's
Right.
best for their family.
Right. And I didn't mean me individually. I just mean, like, oh my gosh, you just opened my eyes to,
Yeah.
like, all of a sudden all this attention is going to be on coming back to school. But we don't, our babies that are not come back to school, we love them just the same. And we're going to, those teachers are working hard too. Right. Like,
Oh,
it's so important. But Sally, I don't want to miss what Sally
yeah.
said. So I'd like to see the parents continue to communicate with their children to on the importance of doing what
Mhm.
their work and trying to be mentally present during class. I'm seeing the kids getting restless and not as motivated to work hard. It's so hard keeping the momentum. Um, that hits
Yeah.
so many nerves today, because my morning, I told you, Sherra, about all these things that I was thinking about. How can we support the parents in understanding what's going on in the kids, like with the kids, and
Yeah.
how, what, do the kids feel comfortable to say, like, if just using what Sally's saying, for example, why, why, why is a student struggling so much and so restless and not
Mhm.
present? I don't know why. Is it just because that's just the age they are, and sitting in front of a computer is just that, right? It's not, that makes sense. I can't even think of the term I'm trying to use, but that makes sense. It's age appropriate for some, right?
Right.
Is it because they're really missing something? They're missing being able to sit next to their peer and just feel the presence of their peer?
Mhm.
Is it they didn't get breakfast, like we don't know, right? And
Right.
so yeah, that is a big one. And so, Sally, you hit exactly what I was thinking we would be talking about today is really getting to know and understand and question and ask and be creative, uh, and find ways to get these kids to open up.
Yeah.
And yeah, Sally, you're right. It is the time of year. We are counting
Yeah.
down. I'm not going to lie. We're already counting down. This is the normal time of year.
Yeah.
So that is true too. Ah, do you want to
I
talk a little
know.
bit about Debbie? Because she is here.
I know. I'm so excited. So, yeah, I do want to talk about Debbie. And Debbie, feel free if you'd be willing to put your website in the chat. And the reason I encourage that is because I'm really excited. Crystal and I met with Debbie via Zoom, and Debbie is going to be our guest on the first Monday in April. And Debbie has an amazing, powerful story that's a part of her life journey. It's a journey of deep love, deep loss, and I think, oh gosh, I don't want to give too much away. But what I really love about Debbie is Debbie shares a heart much like Crystal and I. And the conversation we had Friday, I think I said 3 times, why am I not recording this?
Yes,
Like,
I'm so sad we didn't
oh,
record it.
and just then share it like as a YouTube video because it was so rich. Was so many ahas. It was so powerful. And Debbie is has her own and Debbie, you can fill this in if I just because I'm not prepared. I'm just speaking. Debbie has her own organization. She is a grief coach, and she has her business is CEO of the Heart. She is also the grief chaplain for, I believe it's South Snohomish County Fire Department. And she does a lot of amazing things, but her work as a coach, her story as a mom, her story of loss is one that deeply touched Crystal and I, and that the work and what she has chose to do with that grief and how she has created this amazing message and of support, and rippled it out into the world has just been uplifting, so heart centered, and such an important conversation that Crystal and I are really excited to have the first Monday in April. It's not so okay. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Debbie. And I'm going to be very honest. As Debbie knows, we are not always sure. This happened with Donovan, where exactly the direction of the conversation is going to go. We're going to be very real. We're going to be very organic and very present to the conversation. And it could be a really, and probably will, knowing the three of us, it could be a really hard conversation.
Yeah.
Um, Based on the journey that Debbie has walked, based on the journey that I have walked, and based on the journey that Crystal has experienced in her own way. We all have experienced things so differently, and but yet the
Yeah.
same. So I'm grateful, and thank you, Debbie, for being with us tonight.
And just to give a little teaser, I know exactly where you were going with that, Sherra. Our walk away when we were talking in the car after that was like, oh my gosh, 3 moms, 3 different stories, all
Mhm.
with similar concerns, and they all play out differently, and and how we feel about it. Like
Yeah,
it was pretty darn crazy. And yes, we do have work to do, Debbie. We do
yeah.
have work to do.
And the other powerful part to it too, again, we're trying not to give too much away. We
I
should be
know.
having Debbie right now. But it was just how we recognize, and I'm sure that this is something other families and parents really, and adults that work with youth experience, is how much we compare our journey to others' journeys. And
Yeah.
so, you know, I haven't suffered as much. So my story is not as important to share, or oh, it could be worse. And so devaluing the pain or the suffering that myself or maybe someone else is feeling because it's not as big or traumatic. And that how comparison can really, really be an obstacle in really connecting with other humans who are walking this human experience we call life.
Yeah. Connecting and also hurting yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I spend time in the comparison bubble, and it just takes away from life. It just really, and usually for me, the comparison is usually all wrong. My thoughts
Yeah.
around what I'm comparing and what I'm thinking others have or don't have, or what they're worried about or aren't worried about, or I'm usually wrong.
Right.
And it's always like, oh, thank gosh, I'm wrong. And then it's like, why did I waste that part of my life?
Right. Yeah.
Minutes, hours, days.
Yeah.
Stop the comparing. Yes, Debbie, I'm listening. I'm listening.
I know. And you're right. Comparing doesn't serve because it's our stories and our experiences that are our connection. They're our
Yeah.
connection to others. And so we need to be talking. We need that's the whole reason Crystal and I started this. When we were like, I don't know what I'm gonna say. What are we gonna do if we go live together? And we decided it'd be just like if we were sitting at the dining room table together and
Yeah.
having a conversation and or in the car driving to lunch that turned into a 4-hour afternoon together. I mean,
Yeah.
man, we can kill some time together. And
So true.
it's
So
very
true.
true.
And,
Yeah.
when we are comparing ourselves, what are we teaching our kids?
Oh, yeah.
Because imagine all of us older people, I'm not calling anybody old, don't take that any personal. But when we, given where we came from, we didn't have the internet to obsess
Right.
with or focus on or admire or, whatever. We didn't have that, right? And we didn't have
Right.
Facebook, but our kids do.
Yeah.
And so when we sit in comparison and how we show up comparing each other, imagine, yeah, me too, Tanya. Uh, Imagine what our kids are doing.
Right.
I mean, they have what we
Oh,
teach them and what we give them, and then they have the internet to compare themselves to others.
yeah.
It is so hard. It's
Yeah.
hard not to do it. It's hard to stay away from it. It's hard. It's just hard. And so
Yeah.
we need to find a way to communicate with our kids and work on that.
Yeah. Yeah. And how to have those conversations and how to be vulnerable with your kids. And that's hard because I hear so often that if a parent feels vulnerable with their child, they feel like they're putting their burdens onto their kid to
Yeah.
carry. And so what are those boundaries and what are the safe things and how much do we share and I think that's very personal within families, to
Yeah.
learn what the balance is, but I know being a recovering perfectionist. I'm not there yet. I'm recovering. But try not to shoulda, coulda, woulda on myself raising my kids, but that trying to stay in that perfection mode and model raising
Yeah.
my kids was a huge disservice. Yeah. And that's, yes,
Yeah.
that showed up to be a big part of what we call our hero's story, and part of why I do what I do and why I connect with people like I do. Yeah.
Yeah. I share in that. And I spent some time
Yeah.
in that thought this morning. Um and I laughed because I wanted to share it, but it didn't work, and so it wasn't time. But
Oh,
I
yeah.
I I spent a lot of time doing things that I thought was the right way to do it. And I spent a lot of time being worried about how my kids show up And I, of course, think today they're amazing. But if they made mistakes that age appropriate, normal, I would be like, how do people see them? How are people looking at them? Do they think they're not nice? Or, you know what I mean? I put a lot
Right.
of pressure on my kids. And if my kids are watching, you know that I love you and you know I'm being honest about
Yeah.
it. But, and if I could share anything with anybody to do differently with their kids is to obviously do all the things that you feel is right to do, first of all, but
Mm-hmm.
don't try not to worry about what other people think about how you're raising your kids, and try not to, I shouldn't even say try, just don't, because that is a humongous regret. Like, I have a cute story. It's a cute, funny story, but Eric might not like it. I didn't ask for permission to share the story, but I'm going to share it. Um, so when he was the cutest little bugger, he was, I think, 3, maybe 4. So they do silly things. All 3, 4-year-olds do silly things, right? And those of you that know Eric, he was adorable. So,
Oh,
he would do things and then, whatever. Other people didn't think that he would do things because he was so cute and at that age. And so, but he pulled the fire alarm at a restaurant. And I remember sitting making him sit there and sitting on the parking strip, the waiting for the firemen to come. And I wanted them to have this big conversation with him, and I wanted him to own it. And I wanted him to like show that he learned his lesson. And I look back and I think he was curious, like every normal 3 or 4-year-old would do. And it wasn't about, I wanted him to learn. So don't let me get that wrong. Don't let me say that wrong. I wanted him to learn from that and never do that again. But what my real big issue is what did everybody in that restaurant think? Why would I let my child pull that fire alarm?
oh, yeah,
You know what I mean? And
yeah.
there was a chair set up right next to the fire alarm, and he climbed up. So he was a climber. He climbed up lots of stuff.
He was also
He
a
climbed,
Houdini.
yes, very much so. But he climbed up on that chair. It was right there, like they put it there for him to do it.
Yeah.
He climbed up and he pulled it. And I look back at that now, and of course, I do want him to learn. And the fireman was the nicest he could have ever been. And he was trying to make me feel like this is okay. Don't worry. And then he'd look at Eric, never to do that. And Eric's just like, but if I'm being really real and really raw, it was my biggest concern was, what do other parents think? Why would she let her child do that? Why hasn't she taught her child not to do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not fair to him. That's not fair to him. He was curious, and they shouldn't have put the chair there.
Right? So accessible. That was the same age when he Houdini'd himself into our little kitchen. We had one of those little play kitchens.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the kids are yelling for us. And Eric is somehow got himself in the sink. His head is coming out, and the sink, is about here at his waist, and he's stuck.
Yep.
Do you remember that? That is hilarious.
Do. So cute.
Yeah.
Shayna and Tyler probably right now is like, we're not going there. What's happening? Change the subject right now. We will.
No, that's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, those were some really fun times. And so, yeah, that was a cute story about him. He was just doing his mom a favor because he knew his mom loved firemen. That's really what it was.
That's what it was. Yeah. That's so funny. Oh,
anyways.
That's great. So, friend.
Yeah.
Do you want to bring tonight to a close?
I know it's 34 minutes, and I did want to get to our equity meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, my child would never, right?
No, never.
And Tanya brings up a good point. We do that, but I was the opposite, and I think I caused damage in that. I always blamed before it even happened, and I always, I put the expectation that he or she was going to do. And I don't know what that's about. That's some therapy I probably need to have. I don't know. But I just, when they would do it, I'm like, oh my gosh, what? Oh gosh, why did they do that? Ah, but I'm always like, oh, my kid's gonna do that. It's what is that about? Because our kids are amazing and let's give them a break, right?
Right. Yeah. They really are.
They
Yeah,
are. I'm pretty
they
lucky.
are. So next
Anyways,
week next week we have Avery with us. So I will be very excited to have you all joining us next Monday. So that, how old is Avery?
she is a very, very professional, mature third grader.
Yes. Okay, third grade.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And I'm not sure if her twin sister will be joining her, but we might have both of them. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I have
Okay.
some really big questions ready. I've been practicing.
Good. I'm afraid she has some really big questions for us as well.
I know. Pretty exciting.
It
This
is.
girl, my intention of next week is to let her light shine and know a little bit more about what she wants to do. She shared with us last week,
Mhm.
and I have no doubts in my mind she's going to do it. And yeah, and give her the opportunity to learn about us if
Mhm.
she would like, and most importantly, let everybody hear some of the big things going on right now, what a third grader thinks about it.
Yeah. I think it's great. I think it's great. And am I right, Crystal, in remembering, did she reach out and say she wanted to interview? Like she initiated that?
Well, I think we talked about having guests, and she said she would do it. Yeah.
She wanted
Yeah.
to do that. I mean,
Yeah.
that is so brave. Like that is, I just love that already, that she's knows to use her voice and ask for what she needs. And if it's intriguing, she's curious. I mean, there
Yeah.
is so much just around that. So I'm excited too to have
Well,
her.
and that is part of the story next week that I do want to share about her. She comes with a bravery that stood out in kindergarten. And she
Right.
had to overcome some really big, hard, and she did it. And she
Yeah.
knew that she wanted to do it. She knew that she wanted to overcome, and she had to do some hard work. But this really was all driven by her. Like, this is
Yeah.
how amazing it is, and why I think the story is so important, because some of the things that I think we will share next week might show up for other moms when they notice things like,
Yeah.
I don't want to share too much because I want Avery to be able to share it, but coming to school is something she passionately wanted to do, and there was something that was holding her back.
Yeah.
And we didn't know. We didn't know what it was, right? And so I still don't really know, but she had to work through that because she was not going to allow anything to keep her from school. She
Yeah.
wanted to be there. And so it's a beautiful story of overcome, and now look at her.
I
Look at her.
know.
Like,
And that girl's
hello.
got goals. Woo!
Yeah, she
I
got a new
love it.
haircut too. She's all
Yeah.
ready for next week.
Yeah. She is. Yeah, she did. Yes, Stephanie, bring Melody next week. Have her watch. That would be
Oh,
great.
how old is Melody?
I think Melody's second grade. Correct me, Steph, if I'm wrong, but I think she's second grade. So that would be
So, which this reminds me, Sherra, I don't want to forget. I don't want to leave this. I love this. I am going to go to the equity thing in a minute. We're having a district equity meeting, and I do feel that that is very important, and I want to get there. But this brings up a really good
yeah.
thing we talked about. We don't want to forget to ask our community to help us promote
Oh,
this.
yes.
I would love it more than anything to have an abundance of kids watching and adults watching for
Yes.
Avery, if nothing else for Avery. Like,
Yes.
she she deserves to shine her light, and her light deserves to be felt. That's how
Yeah.
I feel about it. So,
And I will, just so that our friends know, I am going to do a little promo for it, and have it on the Facebook page. Of course, Crystal will share it to her page,
yeah.
so that please know you are welcome to share it out to your communities. But that will help grow the people that see it. We get a lot of replay followers, and I'm grateful for that. But the more questions that we have coming
Yeah.
through on the live and the encouragement for her, it would be amazing. Yeah.
Yes. And she's going
Yeah.
to do great things. So you can follow her, I'm sure, one day.
Yeah.
She's going to do great things. And then we're going to also really promote Debbie.
Yes.
I want our community to know what our plan is that we'd like to share somebody very with a big story of some kind on the first Monday of every month,
Yeah.
right? That's our
Yep.
goal.
Yep.
And Debbie comes with that. And I hope that anybody that needs to hear it will hear it. I guess that's what I want to put in the universe.
Yeah.
Anybody that needs to hear her story is there to hear it. I needed to hear it on Friday, and I'm so thankful for it. So, yeah.
Beautiful. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
Okay.
right. Friends, we will see you all next Monday. Thank you,
Thanks for
Crystal.
coming. Thank
Get
you,
to your
Sherra.
meeting. Yep.
Oh,
And we will see you all Monday.
yes, we
Bye.
will. Bye bye.